You're listening to the weekly Parsha Podcast with Ari Goldwag, recorded with Hashem's never-ending assistance in Ramat Beit Shemesh, Israel, 5779, 2019. This week's Parsha is Parshas Reeh. And at the very beginning of our Parsha, the Torah tells us, Reeh anochi nosim lifnechem hayom bracha uklala. Behold, I am placing before you today a blessing and a curse. If we choose good, if we choose to go in the way that God prescribes for us, so then we experience the blessings. And if, heaven forbid, we choose to step away from the Torah, to step away from God, so then we experience klolos, we experience these curses. I'd like to share with you a most beautiful, beautiful piece from Rabbeinu Bachai in the introduction to our Parsha. And he quotes from Mishlei, he quotes from King Solomon in Proverbs, who says some amazing things about our free will, about our free choice. And he speaks about specifically the idea of the atzel, the lazy person, as opposed to the person who's ready and willing to accomplish, to do things spiritually and for his parnasa, for his livelihood. He quotes the pasuk, it's in Mishlei, chapter 20, verse 4. Mecharef atzel lo yacharesh. When a lazy person is in the winter time, so he will not go and do charisha, he will not plow his field. V'shal v'katzir v'ayin, and it will come to the time of the katzir, which is when they would cut down all of the crops, then gather the crops. So there won't be anything there. Why? Because he was lazy in the time when it was the time to plow. If a person doesn't put in effort at the beginning, so in the end, they will not receive anything. So here I read to you and I quote to you from Rabbeinu Bachai. Shlomo HaMelech alav hashalom darash b'sefer Mishlei levar klal kol hamidas hatayvos. So King Solomon, he was trying to teach us a general principle when it comes to all of the good midos, the good character traits that a person is to have. In order that a person should distance themselves from the negative character traits, which, by the way, the Gra says in Mishlei, that the entire purpose, the entire reason that a person is on this earth is in order to overcome his bad midos, in order to overcome his negative character traits. So King Solomon, of course, was on the same bandwagon, or I should say the Gra was on the same bandwagon as King Solomon, and he told us that we need to distance ourselves from negative character traits, and bring ourselves close to the good character traits. Now, what is the general principle, or what is the bigadol? What is the general idea of the negative midah, a negative character trait versus a positive character trait? Atzlus, the concept of laziness and not being willing to do things, not being interested in forward movement, which, by the way, is not really a Jewish trait, but it's something that we need to look out for, as opposed to zrizus. Zrizus is haste, willingness to take on projects, willingness to accomplish, and both in spirituality and in Gashmias as well, in the physical realm. Laziness is something which causes a tremendous amount of problems in the world. Says Rabbeinu Bachai that a person can be lazy when it comes to his house, a person can be lazy when it comes to his physical body, and a person can be lazy when it comes to his soul. A person can be lazy when it comes to fulfilling the commandments, to fulfilling the Torah, learning Torah, and fulfilling good deeds, doing good deeds. Says Rabbeinu Bachai, there's a person who is lazy in his home. Let's say a person has a problem, there's a leak in the roof. So if he takes care of it right away, so he can fix it, it doesn't cost that much, because the problem hasn't gotten so big yet. If a person waits and he's lazy, he doesn't take care of things right away, he's not a zoriz, so then what can happen is that the problem can get worse and worse and worse until the result will be that it will take a tremendous amount in order to fix the problem. It will cost him a lot of money, he'll end up being poor. That through laziness, the roof caves in. That's King Solomon in Proverbs. Actually, it's in Koheles. It's in Ecclesiastes. He tells us this deep truth. And it's not just true about one's home. Yesh also give it the gufay. It comes to a person's body. If a person is involved in his livelihood, taking care of what needs to be taken care of, right? So, interestingly, he says, a person has to have the right attitude, not just in regards to taking on, being willing to do the things that are necessary in order to earn one's livelihood, but also in terms of having the right outlook when it comes to how much the person has. The person needs to be mistapek b'muad or mistapek b'beinoini. He needs to be happy with, you don't have to have a lot of things. He's not trying to get all the luxuries and all the extra things that often a person would like to have. So such a person will be able to attain them. But if he's lazy, if he incorporates into himself or allows himself the quote luxury of atzlus, of laziness, he doesn't think about them. Interestingly, if he depends on a miracle, so such a person will die of starvation. Now, this is not to say that it's not possible for a person to have bitachon v'lisiba, which we've spoken about many times. Bitachon without ishtadlus, there is such a thing, and there is such a thing as being samech on the nes. But that's for yechidim, that's for individuals who are on a very high level. Perhaps they're focusing all their efforts on their Torah learning, on their spiritual progress, their teaching, whatever it is. Such people have a unique ability to be samech on the nes, to depend on Hashem's grace. But the regular person, which is to whom he's speaking, so we can't be samech on the nes, we can't depend per se on a miracle. Okay, so there has to be an aspect of zrizus, of willingness, of haste. King Solomon said, right? A person who is lazy and he has desires, so he's not going to get what his soul desires. He's not going to get what he wants. There's also somebody who is lazy when it comes to his spiritual attainments. What is the spiritual attainment? Interestingly, Rabbeinu Bachai defines it as somebody who's working on his character. An amazing thing, he says. Just a beautiful mashal, a beautiful understanding of what it means to work on one's character. He says that it's comparable to working the earth. Just like you find that there are some pieces of earth that the ground is good, it's easy to work. There's sometimes you have hard earth, it's harder to work. Person shouldn't leave it, even if it's harder to work that earth. It's his piece of land, right? It's the land that he was given, that Hashem gave him. So he's got to work it to the best of his ability. He has to work his hardest as much as he can. Somebody who is lazy in his work, so he's considered a brother to the destroyer. So too it is when it comes to the souls. Some people have the ability to, if they want to work on themselves, and someone tells them they need to work on this particular character trait, or they've done a certain thing wrong, they receive it. They're open to it. They're not as we call the snowflake generation that can't receive any tachachak, that can't receive any musr, can't receive any direction in life. They don't require a tremendous amount of effort. There are some people who it's much harder. They're more resistant to change. They're more resistant to hearing that they've done something wrong. And those people, it's much harder for them to follow after their intellect. They're more drawn by their desires and by their physical, the lower part of themselves. If such a person nevertheless works on themselves and continues, just like a person who has a hard piece of land, they work on themselves, they work on that piece of land. He says a tremendous foundation in the idea of working on midas, working on character traits. How does a person do it? If they have a lot of resistance to it, very slowly, a little bit at a time. When Rosh Hashiva says it, he says, take on something. If you want to take on something new, let's say we're coming into Elul now, so we're getting ready for Rosh Hashanah. We want to show Hashem that we want to change, we want to be greater, we want to be better, right? So we want to take on something new. We want to become stronger in our commitment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to God. We want to, in our commitment to learning Torah, whatever it is. Take on something, but have it. Make it half. Make it smaller. Let's say a person wants to say Asher Yotzer every day with Kavana. All of the brachas Asher Yotzer. Maybe say just 5 times or 3 times Asher Yotzer with Kavana. Or maybe it's saying, whatever it might be, saying the first bracha of Shemon Esrei with Kavana, whatever it is. Make it smaller. Make it smaller. Take it on a little bit at a time. Right? We're all naturally, especially today, we live in a generation which is naturally resistant to change and to being open to hear about any faults we might have. But despite that, we have an obligation to do so, to change, to listen, to try to hear. Okay? So, when it comes to if a person tries ma'at, like we said, short, slowly, a small amount, leaning and reaching for good midos, for good character traits. And about this, King Solomon says, that he passed by the field of a person who is lazy, and a vineyard of a person who is missing heart. So he's giving us an example of this idea. He's giving us a mashal, an analogy to a field, because the field is the result of a person's physicality. It's the physical aspect of a person's reality. If a person allows the desires that he has to take charge, to take him over, and to go on its way, so the result will be that he will destroy his soul, he'll destroy his body, right? So if a person follows after their natural desires without reining them in, it's just like, I was thinking, it's just like an animal in captivity. Last week I went with my family to the zoo, and we see all these animals, and they're amazing and they're beautiful, and animals in captivity live much longer than animals in the wild, and the reason is because people are taking care of them. In the same way, if we rein in, if we bring our physical selves, so to speak, into captivity, which is giving the proper direction, the proper boundaries that are healthy and normal for the human being, as the Torah prescribes for us, so then, by doing that, so we have a much greater chance of having great longevity, both physically and spiritually. This is the idea that the stone fences were destroyed. That King Solomon refers to the fact that he passed by this field. The person wasn't taking care of himself, not physically, not spiritually. And such a person, if he allows the boundaries to be destroyed, so then the results speak for themselves. Now we can also speak about the idea of atzlus, the idea of laziness when it comes to fulfilling the commandments, doing good deeds. All these things. What I want to share with you here, what I see from the Rabbeinu Bachai, is that in every single area of our lives, whether it's our physical selves, whether it's our health, whether it's our spiritual selves, working on the midas, whether it's the commandments, learning Torah, all of these areas, there's a choice that's in front of us. There's blessings and there's curses. If a person chooses the right way, if a person chooses, and the way he's setting it up, chooses between laziness and activity, willingness, haste, zrizus. So when it comes to mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim, if a person is lazy when it comes to studying Torah, and he doesn't work and try to fulfill good deeds in this world, what's going to be in the world to come? And this is what the verse says over here. The person who's lazy, so what happens is, so they spend their time in this world, which is called the choref. He's going to explain Behemshech as it continues. I don't know if we'll read it all, but this world is called the choref. It's called the winter, because it's a time of spiritual darkness. It's a time when it's hard to work the earth, but it's the time to plow. If you plow now in the winter, you'll be able to plant stuff, and then you'll be able to reap the benefits later on. But if a person doesn't do that, so what happens? That's this verse in Mishlei. In the winter, the lazy person does not plow. And when it comes to the time to reap, he's going to say, hey, where's the results? And the results, of course, are a natural repercussion of the things that he's done before or has not done before. Okay? The person who's lazy, the person who isn't focused, the person who doesn't have the goals, the spiritual goals. So what happens? He doesn't work in the time when it's the appropriate time. Each time King Solomon compares the person who is lazy to somebody who is working the field. He sits and he's lazy in the winter, which is the time of plowing, and he doesn't plow. Interestingly, beautifully, he says that this world is the time which is referred to or is analogous to the winter, right? Right, that's the time when it's the time to plow. The world to come, when we reap the benefits of all that we've done in this world, right? The times of Mashiach, Tchias HaMesim, Olam Haba, which follows that. All of these things, what happens? It's when we receive the benefits, we reap the benefits, we recognize all that we've accomplished through our efforts, working on midas, working on our character traits, learning Torah, doing good deeds. All of these things change us, bring the light of Hashem into our lives, such that it will shine in an amazing way in the world to come. Okay, but it's only possible to get there to that summer. That's what he refers to as a summer, because that's when the sun is shining strong, right? That's the time that we're speaking about. Okay, so that's the basic idea. That's the general principle, and I'd like to read to you. I'm not going to read the whole piece, but I will read to you just from the very end of it. He says like this: V'hine, and it comes out. Emidas hazrizas yuchal adam liknos chay ha'olam hazeh. Through the character trait of zrizus, of haste, of willingness to accomplish, which is, by the way, as we said before, a Jewish midah. We're very interested in accomplishing. We're very interested in affecting the world in a positive way. Through that midah of zrizus, so then a person will be able to acquire the world to come. But if a person is lazy, they can lose out. And if that's the case, I'm sorry, with zrizus, so a person can, what am I doing here wrong? Let me read this again. Okay, the first thing he says is that you can acquire this world. Zrizus, it's natural, you want to get something done, you give it to a busy person, right? When a person has the midah of zrizus, they're willing to accomplish, so then they can accomplish in this world, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is what we said when it comes to their olam haba, when it comes to acquiring the world to come. If a person is lazy, they lose out. In midas hazrizas yekayim mitzvahs. If a person is zariz, he's full of haste, he's ready to accomplish, he can fulfill the commandments. What is the result? A person gets life, a person gets good, and a person gets blessing. What's the result of laziness? The negative character traits of a person? The result is he experiences death, he experiences evil, he experiences curses. An amazing thing, foundational idea, which of course we know to be true instinctively, but our society to a certain extent rejects. Every person has the ability to choose between good and bad. As this verse tells us, Hashem gives us the choice between life and death, between blessings and curses. We all have that choice to choose between zrizus, the midah of zrizus, the character trait of willingness to accomplish, and the character trait of atzlus, of laziness. Every person has the ability, it's in each person's hand, to choose between good and evil. And therefore the blessings will come for good, and the curses will come for evil. And that's what the verse means. Behold, I'm placing before you today the blessings and the curses. I want to bless you and ask you to bless me back. Hashem should help us to incorporate into ourselves this idea, the idea of zrizus, the idea of working on our character traits, incorporating that willingness, that excitement, which the Rabbeinu Bachai promises us, the Torah promises us. If we have the excitement in our gashmius, in our livelihood areas, we have the excitement in the areas of ruchnius, of spirituality, of working on our character. We have that excitement in the areas of learning Torah and fulfilling the mitzvahs of Hashem, the commandments of God. then of course, Hashem will give us unending blessings. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos. This podcast was made possible through the gracious donations of listeners like you. For more podcasts like this, please visit www.arigoldwag.com or search on iTunes Ari Goldwag.